I'm getting faster at this. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Tonight on Success Talk Live, I am honored and thrilled to bring on a very special guest, a woman who has been through wounds and obstacles and traumas, but has come out the other side with strong faith, with a sense of purpose, a sense of humor, a sense of love for others. And she's everything that makes me know that life is good and people are good, because Tamiko is one of those women that I believe everybody needs to meet. That's why I've invited her on the show tonight. But she also has a lot of good secrets to success, because this show is all about that secret sauce. So while I wait to see some people chiming in, and we're just about a minute early, come on in, tag a friend, tag someone, share this show, because we're about to get started in just about a minute or two. And I always ask the viewers, whether you're watching this live or whether you're watching it 2 days down the road or 2 weeks down the road or 2 years down the road, please tag your favorite nonprofit, because I believe that nonprofits need to hear secret sauces to success, because they are a business and they are helping our world be a better place. And we tend to forget, I don't, and the people around me don't forget this, but the majority tend to forget that there's nonprofits out there that need your help. They need your wisdom, your knowledge, your elbow grease. It's not all about always just, oh, I don't have money to give to a charity this week, or you give on the holidays. It's about sharing with them what you have to offer. Social media expertise. How about going right now, tagging them in this, because we're going to share information with them that's going to help them. Tamiko is also a founder of a nonprofit, and we'll talk about that as well. So tag a friend, tag a business, share this, but don't forget your favorite nonprofit, or 2, or 3, or 5. Let's share with as many nonprofits as we can, because they are the heart of this world. And you know how much I love them with all my heart. And I know Tamiko does, and people I have on the show do as well. So after doing that, we are going to get right started. You all know that I'm Aurea McGarry. I'm your host. I love the media. I love using TV platform and radio and social media to tell good stories and to give success tips. Because when I had cancer and they took out my vocal cord nerve, I promised God I'd use my voice to be the voice of good news and the voice to help others prosper, especially nonprofits. So tonight is about a woman that I know because of a nonprofit. And she has a passion for a topic that's very close to my heart, which isn't just domestic violence, it's healing from all wounds. So without any further ado, I've given enough time for people to chime in now. I'm going to introduce the very special, the very gorgeous, the very wonderful and empowering Tamiko Lowry-Pugh, who's the founder of Empower Me and the founder of the Still Standing Alliance. And she's going to tell you more about that. So Tamiko, without any further ado, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for just even, extending the invitation to be here. I'm excited. I think you're an amazing person. I love everything about you. You know what I mean? And so I'm very honored to be here. But as you said, I'm Tamiko Lowry-Pugh, the CEO of Empower Me Life Coaching and Consulting, as well as the founder of the Still Standing Alliance, where we focus on domestic violence advocacy, awareness, and prevention. And so I want to start off with telling you a little bit about myself. I feel like I need to give you the background so that you can understand why I do what I do today.
Absolutely. They want to know who you are and where you come from a little bit.
Yes. So about 10 years ago, I found myself in a relationship that was very, very unhealthy. It was a marriage. It was unhealthy. It was abusive emotionally. Spiritually abusive. It was financially abusive, until, I became a broken soul. And the physical abuse hadn't even happened yet, but I was already broken. And so I often tell people it's easier to heal from a physical wound than it is an emotional wound. So, it's easy to say, oh, my foot's broken or my arm is broken, but how do you tell a person my spirit is broken? And how do you repair that? And so again, about 10 years ago, I decided I wanted to leave that relationship. And the day that I decided to leave was the day that he told me he was going to kill me. And
he almost did, didn't he?
Yes. And so just very quickly, without being long-winded, we were in a car driving up Interstate 85 in Atlanta. I told him that I was leaving him that day. I was in the driver's seat. He proceeded to take the steering wheel to try to force us in an accident. We ended up on the side of the road, and that's when he began to beat me, to strangle me, as if we were in a boxing ring, like he was having a wrestling match, and until I was unconscious. The next thing I knew, I was on Interstate 85 in the middle of the road with cars swerving around me, trying not to hit me.
Were you in the car or outside the car?
I was outside of the car.
Oh, gosh.
Unconscious. When I came back to consciousness, that's when I noticed I was in the middle of the road with cars swerving around me, trying not to hit me. Someone saw what happened. They said, "Ma'am, we saw everything. We've just called the police." And so that was the day that I became a survivor. That was the day that the journey began of me really trying to rebuild my life. And so I wanted to tell you all that, because a lot of people see the finished product, but they don't know what you have to go through to get to where you are. And I have people oftentimes say, "Oh my gosh, Tamiko, I want to do what you do. I want to be on TV. I want to be on the radio. I want to be at the Capitol." And I'm like, do you know what it took to get to this place? It took work. It took me, being heartbroken, rebuilding my spirit. And so, I always say, think about that. Do you really want to do what I'm doing? Do you really want to go through what I had to go through to get here today?
And Tamika, your passion and your journey, it didn't start you didn't do this with a goal to be on TV and be at the Capitol. This is God's journey in your life. Because of the tragedies you went through, God pointed you in this direction to put a spotlight on a cause. Spotlight's not on you. You're not here to say, "Look at me, and I'm over here." God has such a great calling on you because your heart was broken and that happened. God's put you in that position of where the light is on, what you have to offer and how to help people. This isn't about fame and fortune and going for that. This is totally different. So people need to know that if they want to go for that, that's a different journey. This is a journey because of who you're helping and the causes that you make a difference. This isn't, like you were saying, for the faint of heart, but your goal every day isn't get up, "Oh, let me be on TV." It's who can I help? And who else needs to know about what I do and how I help and how we can help them? And it just happens to be TV is the medium God's chosen to use for you.
Absolutely. I agree with everything that you said. And I think that we all have our own journey, and we have to figure out what's the purpose behind that. Why did God allow me to go through this? So we all have our own journey. We all have something in us that someone else needs. And we really have to really seek God, pray about it, and to really tap into what it is that you're supposed to be doing with your story, because we all have a story.
Mm-hmm. We do. Tell us about, because it's very powerful, about the pressure it takes to strangle a person. When you said that at your Purple Affair, it just gave me goosebumps, because I don't think people realize when we talk about domestic violence, I totally agree with you. The spiritual and the emotional abuse takes so much longer to get over, but you said a very scary fact, and I want you to repeat that for the viewers tonight.
Yes, absolutely. When I was in my domestic violence marriage, I was strangled a lot. That was his way of controlling me, saying, I can strangle you until you lose consciousness, and then I'm going to let you go. And so what I often have people do is, it's called the handshake test. If you give a person a firm handshake, that's 8 pounds of pressure. It only takes 4 pounds of pressure to strangle a person to death.
Gosh.
And so that's how serious it is.
My gosh.
4 pounds of pressure to strangle a person to death. And I hear people say, "Oh, well, he choked me." No, choking is, I choked on a bone, or I choked on something. You were strangled. And so there's a difference between choking and being strangled.
That's just scary. It's so scary to know that these are our daughters, our mothers, our sisters, our neighbors this is happening to. And so glad you thrived it, because you are thriving now and using it for good, for sure. And I know you're helping a lot because of that. So let's fast forward a little bit to, you've got a lot of happier days ahead of you now. So let's give some people some hope, because your secret sauce you're going to share with us is how to heal from wounds. And everybody's gone through them, like you said. So fast forward to how you are today and some of the secret tips you have for people who need to come out of a bad situation and need to really heal and thrive, not just survive.
Absolutely. So one of my favorite scriptures comes from Psalm 147:3, and it says, "He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds." And so that is the scripture that I That's what I live by. He heals the brokenhearted and he binds up their wounds. There's a quote that says, hurt people, but healed people, heal people. And so I wanted to become that healed person that can help other people to heal. And so that's what I've dedicated my life to doing, helping people to heal. And no matter what it is you've gone through in life, you have to really learn how to turn your wounds into wisdom. What is the lesson in this? What is the lesson? And so I have a couple of tips, a couple of things that really helped me in my journey of becoming healed. This healed woman can heal other people. So one of the things is to admit your emotional pain so that you can deal with it and heal. You have to admit your emotional pain. If you can't admit that you're emotionally damaged, how are you supposed to heal? How do you deal with something that you won't even face? And so a lot of times we're afraid to face whatever it is from our past. But if you don't face it, then it's going to affect your future. So really admitting that you have some sort of emotional pain. There is another quote, and I love quotes.
I love them too.
I love quotes. I love just reading things that are inspirational. And there is a quote, I think it's by Bob Dylan. And it says that every beautiful thing comes from some type of pain. Behind every beautiful thing is some kind of pain, right? And so you see the people that we are today, because I know you have a story as well, Aurea. So they see this beautiful flower today, but behind every beautiful thing, there was some type of pain to get there. And you think about what it takes for a beautiful diamond to get as beautiful as it is. It doesn't start off that way.
Mm-hmm. Right. Absolutely. It's true. And you think of, people always look at the grass is always greener on the other side, but you could just look at somebody as famous as Oprah and say, there's a person that came from a lot of pain and look what they did with their life and who they help. I always think of Mary Kay Ash, same thing. She came from a childhood where she had to take care of her father at 7 years old, back in the day where she had to make potato soup from real potatoes. There was no microwave back in that day. Really hard childhoods and hard things to go through creates the most strongest, wonderful people and adults sometimes. Now, it can go the other way. People can get bitter and not better. So that's why I know you and I are on our soapboxes all the time saying, please turn it into better. Don't get bitter, because you're going through it for a reason, and you can really change the world from your bad experiences if you allow God to use you. So that's great. First, you have to admit you're in pain. So great tip, because then you can go forward. What's next?
Your pain. And then the other thing is letting go, right? Embrace the spirit of letting go. And I don't know if it's a spirit, but just embrace the opportunity to let go. Sometimes we hold on to stuff, we hold on to it, and it's doing more damage than it is good. So I'll give an example. Because I believe in soul ties, and everything is that in the universe is spiritual. And so you might have a handbag or your favorite T-shirt from your ex-boyfriend. You might like the smell of it, and you have it in your drawer, and you haven't gotten rid of it. Why are you holding on to that? I believe that those are blessing blockers that are keeping you from moving forward, because it's memories. It's that soul tie. Get rid of it. Let go of what used to be and no longer is. Let it go so that you can move on. It's almost like having clutter. Mm-hmm. So if my workspace is cluttered, I can't focus. So you have to let go, clear your emotional clutter, and just, let go of what used to be and no longer is. It's not yours to hold on to. Let it go and move on.
Kind of let go and let God. And I love the way,
let go and let God. Let go and let God. Yes.
We talk about this in business too. As a business coach, I've always talked about when you start a new business and another business might have failed, but it was a stepping stone to something greater, because we've all failed forward to success. We've all tried something that might not have been the pièce de résistance you ended up actually doing. So you think, oh, that was a failure. No, it wasn't. You were moving forward to where you need to be. But I had somebody that told me one time, take all your paperwork and all your stuff from that failed business, that building that is no longer, and get it out. Throw that stuff away, again, getting rid of the clutter, but not just up here and in here. You don't need to see the clutter. You don't need to see that old credenza that is the old business or 10 years ago. It's get rid of it. Even a fresh coat of paint in your office can release you, make you feel so much better. So that's a great tip. We also do that in weight loss. Get rid of the old clothes, the bigger sizes, so you don't fall back into that comfort of, well, I still have that size I can always slip back into if I need to. It's like burning that bridge. You can't go back. No reason to go back in your mind, your heart, your soul. And so that's a fabulous tip everybody needs to know. Let go. Make sure you're writing that one down, people. Let go.
Yes. Let go and let God. Those are some great examples that you gave. I didn't even think about weight loss.
Mm-hmm. I know that too well.
Yeah, those are some great tips. And so one of the other things is to view every wound as an educational assignment. So view every wound as an educational assignment. And that goes back to wounds to wisdom. What is the lesson in this? God, what is the lesson in this? Why am I going through this? Oftentimes we repeat the same thing over and over again until we get the lesson. And God allows us to go through that. I remember leaving my ex-husband, and then the next person I dated had the exact same controlling personality. Right?
How long did it take you to figure that out the second time?
Mm-hmm. Same guy, different face. Why do I keep going through this? Oh, duh, I didn't catch on to the educational assignment. I didn't learn my lesson. And so until I learned the lesson behind it, or the lesson that God had for me, I was going to keep repeating the same thing over and over. Did
you have an aha moment, Tamiko? Because I know that you do have a success story in love as well. So what was that key point in your life where you realized, no more, I'm stopping this pattern? Because that's a really key to help people. Tell us how that happened.
So how do I want to put this? I think I had gone through the third. So I'm going to be just transparent. It didn't happen until I was writing my first book is when I had the aha moment. So writing and journaling is so key to your breakthrough. So in order for me to understand why I kept being in these types of relationships, so I was writing my book. And so I'm describing every boyfriend that I had. And I was like, they're all the same person. Why am I doing this? So it wasn't until literally, it was 2014. By the time, 7 years later, when I realized that aha moment. And that's because I was writing. I started to journal and was putting that information in my book. And so that's when I had the aha moment, through writing.
That's powerful. And even if somebody's not planning on writing a book, journaling obviously is very enlightening, because even if you were just journaling and never wrote the book, you started seeing it in black and white. Oh, there's a pattern here. That is a wonderful secret sauce tip right there. Journal, because that's where you can see patterns of anything, whether it's, the bad eating habits or the bad organizational skills you might have, whatever it is that's keeping you in any kind of rut or keeping you from being totally happy. It doesn't just have to be pertain to love, but in this case, we were in that situation of love. And I know then you had your aha moment. So what did you do about it? Once you realized this is a pattern and I don't like this pattern anymore, how did you change it? Because I know you have a success story.
Yes, I literally had to look at myself, and I had to begin to love myself. I realized that I didn't love myself enough. I was looking for love in men, and these different men in these relationships. And I was yearning for them to treat me a certain way, a way that I wasn't even treating myself. So I went on a personal journey of self-confidence and rebuilding my self-esteem and dating myself and taking myself out to fine restaurants and buying myself flowers and really just learning to love myself and knowing who I was. When you're in a controlling relationship, you often forget who you are because you try so hard to please this person and you become someone that you don't even recognize. And so I didn't recognize myself. I literally had to go through a list and say, Tamiko, what is your favorite food? No, it's not spaghetti. That's his favorite food. Like, what's your favorite color? It's blue. No, that's his favorite color. And so I had to really learn all over again who I was, what was important, what were my values.
And what's your non-negotiables too?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that happened to me. It's what's my non-negotiable. When I got out of my domestic violence, I wanted two things. I wanted to not be screamed at anymore, and I wanted to laugh and not cry.
Oh my
I left it
gosh,
kind of wide
yeah.
open to God. I wasn't going to be picky, except I don't want to cry and be cursed at anymore. I want somebody that loves God more than himself, and that will make me laugh and not make me cry. I said, Lord, if that doesn't happen, then it's you and me and my daughter. I didn't care about anything else. I was tired of being sad. I was tired of being cursed at. I was tired of like just your whole self-esteem going down. So just to laugh again. And then when I noticed people, when I started dating again, that were just nasty or rude to waiters or servers or people in their area, it's like, no, I don't want somebody that makes rude comments and that makes other people feel worse about themselves. I want somebody that just lights up the room. I can overlook any other thing. I don't care if you put the toothpaste top on or not. It make me laugh. And both of us, we both found that. So tell us how you found your Prince Charming and how he found his queen.
Wow. So going through that journey of self-love, really understanding what my values were and sticking to that, and then knowing the types of the values that I wanted my spouse to have. We were actually friends. We had worked in corporate America together for a while. We both left around the same time. I left to start, my coaching business and my nonprofit. He wrote a book. He left to do a radio show. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but he used to have a radio show called The Chat Cafe, which we're going to bring back very soon.
Yeah, I like that. The Chat Cafe. Ooh.
Focuses on healthy relationships. And so he was traveling the country teaching about healthy relationships. And I was like, wow, he's going to be a great husband to someone one day.
Someone.
I didn't think it was me.
Oh, it's
I just thought he was awesome and that he was going to
What a great catch for somebody else.
Yeah. And then I ended up being the entertainment correspondent for his radio show. So we really got to know each other. He asked me out on a date, and that was the end of it. We dated a year and a half, and then we got married.
You guys are such a beautiful couple, and it's so great to see you guys together and how much he just adores you and you adore him. And you're just such a cute couple. Oh my gosh, just love it. I love it. There is happiness after domestic violence, and I love to let people know that, especially women. There is. If you're patient enough to wait, and like both you and I did, we did not accept anything less than the things that were non-negotiable. Nobody has to be perfect.
There's non-negotiable. Non-negotiable. That is the secret word.
Absolutely.
Non-negotiable. Yes.
And they can be simple. When I was actually a matchmaker in a dating club for several years. I know, I've done it all. And I found that, the men at the time didn't want to date women with children. So women with children just thought their life was over. They were divorced and had children. But it's not. And that was still a very small portion of society. But the women wanted the man with the job. It has to have a good job. And I started getting people out of that rut saying that is not the issue. That's not the point, because there's great people who have kids or single moms and dads, and there's great guys that could be out of work, and that's okay. So you have to look at different non-negotiables and, the more important things, the eternal things, caring for you, loving you. And I thought about things after I had cancer. With this person that you're dating, do they make you laugh instead of cry? And would they stand by you should you get sick? Should you get sick like I did and had cancer, went bald, gained weight? So it's not that superficial. I love you because you're healthy and cute and all this. Will they love you old and fat and bald and sick, on your dying bed, or on your, if a child was sick? It's that kind of selfless love that I think overtakes all the silly things that we kind of look at. Are they employed? Do they have kids? Do they have baggage? The biggest heart will totally wipe out all those other things we think we're looking for. So we look a little deeper. So.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I do have one more secret. I guess we can call it a secret or a tip. Now, I think it's very, very important. This is, out of everything we've talked about, I think this is the most important, and it is give yourself permission to forgive.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Because who does forgiveness help the most? Not the other person.
It helps us. Give yourself permission to forgive not only the person that wronged you, but you have to give yourself permission to forgive yourself.
Be specific. Forgive yourself. People might be thinking, well, I was the victim. Why don't I forgive myself? Talk to us a little bit about what that looks like.
Sometimes we don't realize that we self-inflict our own wounds wounds by not forgiving ourselves. So for an example, I forgave my ex-husband, but I didn't forgive myself. And I was angry with Tamiko. I was angry. Why did you allow yourself to go through this? Look what you made yourself do. You're a loser. People are going to laugh at you. So I was actually self-inflicting the wounds all over again because I didn't forgive myself. And sometimes we don't realize that. And so I literally had to give myself, and when I say permission, because sometimes we don't give ourselves permission, it's okay to forgive. It's okay to forgive yourself. It's okay to say, you know what, Tamiko, Aurea, I made a mistake. But guess what? I turned my wounds into wisdom. It is a learning experience. I learned my lesson. And so it's okay to make mistakes. But what are we going to do going forward? Are we going to repeat those again, that we talked about earlier? Or am I going to forgive myself and allow myself to start fresh from scratch?
We're so hard on ourselves. I think especially as women, we are so hard on ourselves. We forgive, our kids and our husbands and our friends and our parents. And you're right. We need to really just say, hey, it's okay. I'm not human. I make mistakes. I thought for myself, how stupid could I be? Getting into that and staying in that. But, we're young, love is blind, and we learn from it. We just don't want to repeat it. And that's a good thing, to forgive yourself. I love that. When you talk to Wounds to Wisdom, you have some great books and some great networking, some great ways people can tap into you, because this is just the tip of the iceberg, how you really help people. So tell us about the books you have and the events you have, and a little bit about what you were doing at the Capitol this week as well, so people can know more about how they can support you and get more from you.
Absolutely. So because of what I went through, I wanted to become a person that I wanted to go back and make sure I was helping other women who were experiencing what I was able to survive. It would be selfish of me to allow God to bring me through that. And then I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to go along with my life. Right. I just feel like it is so important that we go back and we be a voice for the voiceless. And one of the ways that I do that is through advocacy and advocating on legislation and bills and laws that affect domestic violence victims, crime victims, that really affect us in certain ways. And so this past year, we've been working very diligently at the state capitol to pass what is called Senate Bill 146, House Bill 127. Most people know it as Marcy's Law. In the state of Georgia, we are one of only 14 states that does not constitutionally protect crime victims. And so,
what do you mean?
The accused, your abuser, would have more rights than you in court. They have constitutional rights. As victims, we have statutory rights. Constitutional rights are enforceable. Statutory rights are not.
Who dropped the ball on that? How did that ever happen?
So there are only 14 states that do not protect crime victims constitutionally, and we are one of them.
But you just made a big dent in that Monday, didn't you?
We made a huge dent. It's been an entire year that we've been advocating. This past Monday, actually it was yesterday, we actually passed the House of Representatives. So what that means is that it passed, but now it goes on the 2018 ballot for you, for the voters to decide.
That's what we need to do.
We want to amend the Constitution.
Can everybody vote?
Yes. So when you vote on the November election, on your ballot, you will see a list of amendments. And so one of those amendments is the Crime Victims Bill of Rights. We want to vote yes. We want to make sure that we add that to the Constitution. Otherwise, I'll just give a very quick example.
Okay, please do. And then please let us know when we vote as we get closer. Yes. Keep that in front of us. Keep that in front of my fans. Let us know. Remind us.
An example would be not being notified when the accused post bond or when they're getting let out of jail. So for instance, in my case, I thought that my abuser was in jail. 3 days after the incident that I talked about earlier when we were on 85, 3 days later, I went to file a protective order. And as soon as I went through the security and went to get on the elevator, I heard a voice and he said, "Hello, beautiful." And I looked up and it was him. Could you imagine?
Heart just sank.
Could you just imagine? I thought I saw a ghost, and I'm getting a little bit emotional, but running out of the courthouse and not following that protective order because I was afraid. I thought I saw a ghost. And so that's one of the things that will be enforced in the Constitution, is that they have to notify you when that person, if anything changes with the case, we should be notified. One more example, and I'm going to tell you, and this is, you're going to be like, wow. There was a lady in Macon, Georgia. Her name was Bridget Flowers. She was in an abusive relationship. Her boyfriend or husband beat her up at a Walmart. He went to jail, was released that same day. She was not notified that he was released. He had been threatening her. He came to her house and shot her in front of her children and killed her.
God.
Her children. And so when the question was raised, why wasn't she notified that he was out of jail or that he posted bond? And the answer was, oh, it takes us 30 days to notify victims. He killed her on day 8. On day 8, she was murdered.
Oh my gosh.
So this is how serious it is. And it hurts to have to use these drastic stories, but that's the only way to get people to understand why it is important that we have constitutional rights.
Amen. Well, you know, I remember back in the 90s when I was one of the first people that had to get like a restraining order. It was right after one of the celebrities, that young girl was shot by her stalker. And stalking really wasn't a thing back then. They didn't say, well, you used to have to die first or get shot or hurt before you could even file for a restraining order. And so it's people like you, Tamiko, that do make a difference. They know enough's enough. This is not, we're not tolerating this. Just like our youth now in the schools are saying, no more. We don't want to be victims. We don't want to be shot. This is crazy. And that is just horrific to me. And I know 3 women a day die at the hands of a loved one, you know, a husband or a boyfriend. This is just too much. And I had no idea, as much as I thought I knew about what's going on with domestic violence, I didn't know about this law that wasn't there in Georgia. That's just crazy.
And so, you know, I'm just going to quote what Oprah Winfrey said. I think it was on the Golden Globes. And she said, using our voices and sharing your truth is the most powerful tool that we have. And so I encourage anyone out there, if you have a story, share your story. It's such a powerful tool for advocacy. We can change lives. You can change the laws by sharing your story. You can change, we're about to change history with the Georgia Constitution with this. So it's just amazing to be a part of something that I'd never would have in a million years would have thought that that one situation would lead to this. I was fine and dandy being a project manager, you know, sitting in my little office. But this is just something that I never thought that it would turn into, which is really being able to help other people. So I'm just really, really grateful.
Yeah, that's another reason I wanted you on the show too, Tamiko, because I want people to see that sometimes we think that we want that cushy job, that cushy little gold watch at the end of 35 years and everything to just run smooth. But when life shakes you up, sometimes that's the real legacy that you're going to live. And it's from something that could be just really, really great or really, really bad or something in between, but it rocks you and it makes you go in a completely different direction than you thought you were ever going to be on. And that's the exciting part. That's what changes lives. And that's what I think of with these things that are happening in our high schools and the shooting. You know, you do want your kids to go to school and have a non-eventful day, but when that happens and it shakes our world and it gets attention, that's when things change. You know, that's what they were talking about. That's when people take notice, people stand up, #start, causes start. And domestic violence has to stop, because it's, for one thing, to be, you know, hurt by strangers, but our home should be our sanctuary. This should be the place where we are safe. Our children should be safe. Wives, husbands, we should be safe here, because there's enough enemies out there when we walk out our door. So, you know, you and me, Tamiko, have had that battleground in a place where it shouldn't be, in our home, in our bedroom, in our safe spot. That should not be that should not be the front line. So I'm so glad you're doing this. Tell us how we can help, because I know we're going to wrap up, but please keep this agenda in front of all my fans, on my wall. Tag me, let us know when it's time to vote. Let us know where to vote. Be specific. This is the box. This is what you vote. This is the day. Keep us, because we want to support you. And if we can support you by sharing, by donating to your nonprofit, tell us right now what we can specifically do to help you, because I'm going to let everybody know.
Absolutely. So one of the things that you can do is to just continue to follow Marcy's Law for Georgia. Follow those hashtags, Marcy's Law for Georgia. You
Okay.
get all the information about that. The Still Standing Alliance, we are really, we were one of the main organizations, along with other ones that are really behind this bill. And you can donate to us. All of our proceeds benefit domestic violence awareness. It benefits women and families who have been affected by domestic violence. You can go to the stillstandingalliance.org, and I will type that in the box.
Put it in the comments.
But the other thing that I want to do, I know there's there, sure there's a woman, there's someone out there who's suffering in silence, and you really don't know what to do. I'm offering, and if it's okay with you, I want to offer 5 empowerment breakthrough sessions. And an empowerment breakthrough session, that is our opportunity to talk one-on-one. It's a 20-minute call. We're going to talk one-on-one, and whatever that thing is that is hindering you from moving forward in life, we're going to get to the bottom of it. So 5 empowerment break. I will put the link and register right inside of the chat box.
And who are you going to do that for, Tamiko? Everyone, or like the first 5, or how are you going to offer that?
It's going to be the first 5.
First 5. Okay, great. I'm getting a little interference. You're freezing up a little bit. That's great. Well, put that in the comments. So when we're done, write that in. Please put your websites in there. That is so great for you to do, because you're not going through your situation without turning around, helping others, and giving them a way to tap into. I love everything that you do, Tamiko. You're so fabulous. And I'm so excited and honored, as being in the media myself, that God's enabled me to have several platforms, this being one, and also being a contributing host to Atlanta Live on Tuesday nights. Several times a month I go and I do that show, and the producer has been asking me and has asked me to bring in some special guests that have great testimonies that are making our world a better place. And I brought in several of the people that I know in my circle, and I'm so excited and honored to be able to bring you on next week on April 3rd at 7 o'clock live on WATC. You're going to come into the studio, be live, and tell your story and tell us all about what you're doing to make a difference. And we're going to talk more about this law and what you're doing and how people all over Georgia can help, because about 3 million people get Atlanta Live right here in this area. So we're going to kick this up a notch and let you go on TV and tell your story and let other people know about what you're doing, because it's so important to stick together and help people know about who you're helping. And the only way they're going to know is to get you on some TV shows. So I'm honored to be able to do that for you. So please let everybody know to tune in and watch you next week on April 3rd, 7 o'clock on Atlanta Live.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for creating this platform. I know that people are blessed every week by this. And just before I go, the last thing I want to say is just know that wisdom is not always measured by what you know, but rather how you embrace your wounds of experiences. So how are you embracing your wounds of experiences?
Oh, Tamiko, would you write that in the comments? That is priceless. Say it one more time and write in the comments when we log off.
Yes. So wisdom is not always measured by what you know, but rather how you embrace your wounds of experiences. How do we embrace our wounds of experiences?
What a great tip to end the show with. Great secret sauce. I knew you'd had some good secret sauces. That's all. You don't get to where you are from where you came from without lots of wisdom in there. And to be able to turning your wounds into wisdom is great. I love the title. What's the title of your book?
So the first book is Wounds to Wisdom, I'm Still Standing. That's my personal testimony. I have a book called The Empowerment Formula, 6 Steps to Living an Empowered Life. And so those are the steps that I took after I turned my wounds into wisdom. Then I implemented the Empowerment Formula. And all those books are on my website at TamikoLowry.com.
Great. We'll put all those links in there. Make sure everybody has a handle on where to get a handle on you. You are phenomenal. Thank you so much. Success Talk Live is so honored to have you on as a guest and for you to share. And I know people watch this later on this evening and going forward, and we will check back on these comments. So if you're not going to be watching this live, for those of you who are watching now or whenever you're watching us, if it's not live, feel free to to reach out to us, private message us, write a comment. Tamika and I are all over social media, and we're there to answer your questions. And those free consultations that she'll give to you, the first 5, and I'm always open to give my media consultation to help everyone who's in business or a nonprofit get media attention, whether it's a television show, a newscast, a radio show, or magazine article. I'm there to help you get in the media for the good cause, not for fame and fortune, but for more people to know about who you are, who you help, and how you serve our world in a better way. And yes, sometimes that's a better product. That's okay. But we want to help more people know about you. So Tamiko, mwah, thank you so much. I'm watching the comments. I don't see questions, but I see Courtney on there. I saw some other people on there tonight. So thank you all for watching, and share this, keep this going, and shout it out to your favorite nonprofit to give them hope for their future, because their future is bright. We need to earn more so we can live more, so we can give more. You all have a blessed, blessed night. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night. Bye.